Welcome to Newmarket Vox. I'm Mark Knopf-Thomas from the Newmarket Business Association. Newmarket is New Zealand's retail, fashion, hospitality, entertainment and business mecca. Newmarket Vox is a monthly podcast where we take a deep dive into the minds of one of our business leaders. Make sure you follow us at Newmarket NZ on your favourite social media platform. Keep a lookout for Newmarket Magazine's spring issue, which is out now. And after the interview, we'll have some new and notable things that are happening in Newmarket. What got you into leather?
If I wanted something, I'd make it. So kind of very like thrifty, DIY. You know, married to me, they're not a family member. They're here for a few years on their career journey. So I come from a Catholic family.
In the beginning, it was based out of a garage and required the founder to self-learn pattern making and sewing to create one-off leather pieces and jewellery. Now, as an internationally recognised brand with flagship stores in Queenstown, Wellington and Auckland, and of course the luxury boutique right here in Osborne Street in Newmarket. In 2005, Liam Bowden founded Deadly Ponies. Liam, thank you so much for joining Newmarket Vox today.
You're welcome. It's an honour to be here.
That's good. I'm glad you think that. So we're going to ask some questions about your background, your family history, education, business.
Yep.
Take a bit of a deep dive into some things that not everybody may know about you, and just please feel free to share as much as you want to.
Okay, cool.
So to start off with, where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Auckland, and my family's all from Auckland. Was raised in Mount Albert. So yeah, I haven't really moved far from the nest.
In your family, what are siblings, mum and dad?
Yeah, mum and dad. I've got an older brother and a younger sister.
Yep.
And they've also kind of travelled overseas, but are all now residing in Auckland as well.
Back in New Zealand. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good news story.
Yeah, it is.
And what about education? Where'd you go to school and study?
I went to school in Auckland as well. I was at St. Peter's and at Sacred Heart. So I come from a Catholic family, so it was Catholic schooling for me. And then went to university post that at Unitec.
Okay, in Auckland, cool.
Yeah,
okay, awesome.
also.
Deadly Ponies is quite an interesting name, and we're assuming that no ponies have actually been involved in the manufacture of your products. But how did the name come about?
Unitec is kind of an old mental institution that they turned into a university, so it's got this kind of weird history, and we would stay there all night as students and just kind of run around like a adult's playground kind of thing. And I came up with this kind of fictional gang in competition to a friend, and had these stickers made, or made them myself and designed them because I was studying graphic design.
Yeah.
And then when it came time to sell some things at a market, I just used those stickers to price things, and people thought that was the brand name, and I kind of went along with it, and then it kind of organically grew. So it wasn't a strategic business decision, it was just organic, like a business was born. And so from there it kind of grew a lot as a hobby, and then that hobby turned into a business.
That's awesome. Okay. So I have to ask the question, what got you into leather?
I've always liked, I guess, like tactile kind of things that you can touch and make, and we had a tannery just down the road from my house, and so I was always very much like, if I wanted something, I'd make it. So kind of very like thrifty, DIY. And so my brother came back from Sydney with these cuffs and all these leather things, and I was like, I can make those. So I did. And then I guess the love of leather began. The idea of kind of being able to fold it and heat it and twist it and do all these things was kind of very intriguing to me.
Last year in 2003, Deadly Ponies won at the Newmarket Business Awards the most sustainable, best customer experience, and you also took out the Supreme Winner Award across all categories.
Yes.
How does it feel to be recognised after starting something from scratch? And then, so what started back in 2005 is now sort of winning awards all over the place. How does that feel?
I guess very rewarding, especially the kind of sustainability and kind of behind the scenes type business awards are quite rewarding for me and the team to kind of be recognised in, because it's a lot of work that goes unnoticed. It's not product, it doesn't kind of add to the bottom line of revenue, but it's something that as a business and the team we're passionate about. So it's cool that people see that we're doing something.
It sort of proves positive. That you're doing something right, yes. I guess, yeah. And how do you reconcile working with and living with your actual real life marriage partner and your business partner? How does that operate day to day?
It is at first it was definitely like an adjustment, trying to figure out how to not step on each other's toes, give each other enough space to kind of succeed and fulfill our own kind of professional, I guess, ambitions. But it kind of works well. I mean, I kind of get to do everything with him. So have breakfast, have lunch, just chat about stuff. We're always kind of on the same page. If one of us has had a bad day, usually both of us have had a bad day. So in that respect, we're kind of always very much kind of in sync. And then we just have to have really strong boundaries in terms of kind of ending the work day or going for a walk or having markers and things in place to stop work bleeding into outside of work life.
Your retail stores are beautiful, and I know the Newmarket boutique in Osborne Street is an amazing design and layout.
Thank you.
Are you involved in that yourself directly, or do you bring people in to do that?
Both. We've worked with Katie Lockhart, an interior designer, for a long time, and then through the process of, I guess, personally what we enjoy in terms of renovating interior spaces and houses and retail stores, we're kind of heavily involved in the layout and the flow, and then also I often buy a lot of the pieces in the Newmarket store I've kind of purchased and collected kind of along the way, so kind of adding to them, I guess, like a home.
Cool.
So yeah,
I love that. So retail has had quite a bumpy few years, and we're all too aware of that. What's your take on what's happened to the retail landscape? What do you think's happening?
I think that the the message that has been obviously communicated to the country has been recession. So people have been very discerning with their kind of discretionary income, and so therefore that's led to kind of a downspend across most, if not every sector.
Yeah.
And so I think for us in retail, I guess you feel that pinch a lot quicker. People can do without kind of shoes or bags or clothes, but they can't do without food or other things. I guess last year I think we found that the market was kind of cooling, but in the last couple of months we've found that now that there's more talk about the economy kind of going in a different direction, that we've already seen an uptake.
Yeah.
That's kind of heading back to the levels that it was at. So
brilliant.
So it's just kind of being able to kind of pivot and change and edit things to accommodate the highs and lows that have been the last 12 months. I guess.
Yeah. I think too, like from what I can see in the retail landscape, that there's, imagine this big recessionary U has taken place, but we seem to have reached the bottom, and people are pushing back up to go back up the other way now. So I think things are going to get better, I think, pretty quickly. So has there been a time, so running a business, running your own business, taking the big sort of punt on the risk and everything else around having your own business, has there been a day where you've thought, oh my God, I'm so over this, I want to walk away?
I think that owning your own business is a blessing and a curse, because everyone would think that you could just walk away whenever you want, but you can't, because you're kind of tethered to it for life in a way, unless you sell it or shut it down. So yeah, there's been many a times where I have kind of gone, I guess when all of the decision making is on you and there's a lot of decisions happening, and a lot of the time you become really close friends with the staff members or the team that you kind of are around. And so I remember a couple of the lowest points was, I guess, when those people would leave, and I guess slowly understanding that it was a job for them and not taking it personally that they would leave. Yeah. That they were always going to leave. They're not going to they're not married to me. They're not a family member. They're here for a few years on their career journey. And that the first time that happened, that I was kind of a bit broken. And then I guess now it's become a bit more of a realization that, you know, we're an employee in a workplace. That's what happens in a workplace.
So when you've had those moments thinking, oh God, this is too much, what's brought you back from the brink?
I was going to say alcohol, but no, I'm not a heavy drinker. So what has brought me back? I guess partly it's like how there isn't an out in a way. It's kind of like, okay, I'm in this. I have to continue on. And I think just focusing on like a week ahead, a month ahead, not because in the, I guess, business that where I'm in, it's always focusing on like a year ahead, and so there's always a multitude of things that you're kind of focusing on at once. So employing someone, if we're going to have growth, who are we going to employ for that growth? So it's trying to kind of put the shutters on and kind of just focus on the next couple of weeks. Let's try and make it positive. And then before I know it, I'm like, this is great.
I love it again. Loving it, living the dream. So where are your products manufactured?
They're manufactured in China, Italy, India, and Thailand as well.
Wow. So over the years, you obviously worked out the best suppliers to work with and the best manufacturing outlets and working those relationships.
A lot of it's based on where the best raw material comes from. So some countries are better for tannerizing certain things. So most of our leather comes from New Zealand, but sadly the leather tanneries in New Zealand have kind of all closed, and so in that process we have to get the raw material here, ship it off to another country, get it finished, processed, and then bring it back.
So obviously you're a creative. You can see that from what you're doing with the business. If you weren't doing Deadly Ponies by some chance, that one day where you had too much and you go, right, I'm done, I'm walking out of here, what else would you be doing?
I thought I'd be a furniture maker. So when I studied graphic design, I was making furniture as well to kind of answer some of the design briefs that we got given, which looking back was probably very frustrating for my tutors. But recently, so last year, I started studying psychology at university. So I guess something in the world of psychology, I guess, would probably be the next phase of my life, possibly.
So what do you do, speaking of psychology, what do you do to relax and to sort of to unwind from everything?
I think I enjoy being busy and I guess focusing on making, I like to make things. So I guess for me, it is those other projects, whether or not it be kind of something at home that I'm kind of working away on, or I guess going to the beach, travel. So I don't have a specific thing that I kind of focus on.
So would you describe yourself as like an active relaxer?
No, because when I go to the beach, I like to just lay there and do nothing and read and have cocktails brought to me. Whereas my partner Steve, no, he is an active relaxer, so he needs to be going for a walk or doing something or traveling around. So yeah, I think I'd just like to kind of rest, really. Just sleep and be lazy.
Brilliant. When was the last time you belly laughed and actually lost control, laughing uncontrollably?
Probably I was with some friends on the weekend, and probably chatting to them, they're just kind of hilarious, and we went skiing and had a great time. And
Brilliant. Have you had any in the business or otherwise, any of those sort of pinch me moments like, wow, this is unbelievable what's happening? In a good way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we have moments like that all the time. So sometimes they're bigger. I think when we opened up our first kind of official store, walking into it was like, wow, this is our store. I think that had been like a dream for a long time to have kind of this physical space. But then reaction to product, I guess, we just launched some cheetah velvet, kind of a capsule of that product, and the speed in which it kind of sold out. Then we had to put it on pre-order, and the pre-order sold out. So I think that was like, wow, okay, that demand and that desire for this product that hadn't even been touched or felt yet by anyone was kind of cool and exciting. So
Brilliant. Is there more of that to come?
Yes, we're having to do a couple more recuts of it again. Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you have any regrets?
No, I think I probably over stressed in the past about kind of things more.
Yeah.
I guess was my own harshest critic.
Yeah.
So probably regret is just to be nicer to myself.
Brilliant. I think we all need that, don't we?
Yeah.
What would be some of your bucket list items for things you want to do in your lifetime?
I guess just keep kind of learning. I think that's why I kind of went back to university, to continue to learn and grow. And so I think it would be that I've achieved so many things that I kind of dreamt of kind of doing or going to, or so yeah, a lot of them have been ticked off. But I'm kind of like, if I want to do it, I'll just do it kind of thing. So
I love that,
the bucket list, I'm sure as I get older, the list will be will increase, but at the moment nothing.
When you sort of think, oh my
nothing
God,
stands
running out of time to get these things
yeah.
done. So if you had the chance to have a chat to the 20-year-old version of Liam Bowden, what do you think you'd say to him?
I guess again, not to critique myself probably as much as I used to. I think as much as I've loved starting a business kind of young in my life, it's also been, it's definitely held me in New Zealand and confined some of the possibilities. So I think I probably, looking back, might have travelled, lived overseas. I guess that's something that is on a bucket list, is to actually live in another country rather than just always be a visitor. So it would have been kind of to experience that and then come back and fulfill those kind of ambitions that I had.
Brilliant. Where do you enjoy being most?
I guess around family and friends, probably hanging out with them. We've got a place in the Coromandel, so probably just hanging out there. Probably more in like winter when it's cold, just inside, there's no one around. And I can just be kind of lazy and lie there and do nothing.
With Coromandel in mind, what's sort of the best holiday you can remember you've ever had, like either as an adult or a child?
I think the best holiday I can remember, it was China. So I backpacked, me and Steve backpacked through China, and this was probably like 12 years ago, so pre-smartphones, it was all The Lonely Planet, and it was
Books,
very like Amazing Race kind of. So no one spoke, even though they said this is a very touristy place, and so is this. As we got to them, we realized it was all internal tourists, and no one spoke any English, and so we just had to kind of figure it out. And we ended up in crazy places, eating amazing things, and also just the history of China as well, in terms of, I guess, the Great Wall and the Terracotta Warriors and the different kind of palaces. It was probably the biggest out of my comfort zone, but also super memorable.
Okay, so what's next for the business, and what's next for you personally?
Next for the business is, I guess we've just opened a Queenstown store, so it's continuing to, I guess, focus on that. With that, it's brought a lot of more international customers coming in from overseas to Queenstown, and so we've found a big uptake in international customers, and we've kind of got to focus more on the US coming up.
Brilliant, that's great.
And then for me personally, our home was affected quite badly in the floods, so we're finally getting to the end of kind of the insurance process and all that kind of stuff. So it's probably another project of kind of renovation.
There's always an upside to everything. Every cloud's got a silver lining.
Fixing it. So
When you look around sort of the stable of New Zealand brands, whether in retail and whether it could be fashion or whatever, who do you sort of look at and admire what they're doing?
I look at, I guess, Karen Walker, and I think she's been in the business for so long and has, I guess, a very defined image. And from opening up shops and dealing with staff and retail ourselves, I kind of know how hard that is, as opposed to just an online business or that kind of thing. I think a business like a workshop that has, again, not only multiple brands, but also has, their own brand, they make their own things. So dealing with the logistics of that many products, SKUs, logistics online, that just seems like a nightmare, but also like very admirable, and kind of would take a lot of skill to just kind of make that all work and work as seamlessly as it appears to.
I think actually a really good example. I think looking at Karen and Chris and Helen, how they've managed to, they've been in the game a long time and have achieved relevance consistently, which is a great thing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's a lot. It's a lot of evolution that they've had to kind of constantly do, which
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're going to finish off with some quick fire questions. So whatever question I ask, just spit out the answer as fast as you can.
Cool. Yeah.
What's your favourite movie?
Favourite movie is probably Love Actually. Watch it every Christmas. So it's been on rotation a long time.
There is no shame in watching Love Actually. It's a great film. Who's your favourite musician?
Probably Miley Cyrus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus is great. Favourite colour?
Blue.
Blue. Favourite season?
Summer.
Summer. Favourite drink?
April Spritz.
Okay. And favourite food?
Fried chicken.
Brilliant. What's been the greatest joy of the whole Deadly Ponies experience for you?
Definitely some of the achievements when I kind of look back on all the experiences I've been able to have in terms of travelling, making product that makes people happy and get excited about.
Yeah.
And probably also the team and the people that I've kind of got to work with along the way. I know I kind of said earlier in terms of, the sadness when people leave, but now I've kind of realised that it's actually quite cool to realise that we're a stepping stone or something that might help someone in their career. So that's all been great. You
started your business in 2005, as we know, and initially you were wholesaling. So who were you wholesaling through in those early days?
So it all began with Superette. So in 2005 I was still studying and was doing a lot of freelance graphic design and was working for them doing some website and print ads, and showed them what else I was doing as a hobby, which was making bags, and they took them on, and within a week or two they had all sold out. They needed more, and then I guess our wholesaling journey began.
So was it just Superette, or were you doing other stores as well?
It was just Superette for the beginning, because everything was being handmade. I was making everything, so I kind of needed to figure out how to grow it, I guess, manageably. So
you were probably working 24 hours a day, I'm guessing, in those days?
I guess it just seemed like a fun thing to do. But it was, looking back, it was kind of a lot going on. I was always a bit of a night owl, so I didn't seem too intense. But looking back, a lot of the things, because it was all scrap leathers, a lot of it was all patchworked and panelled, so it was a lot of work too. And I was learning as well how to pattern make and how to do all these things, because I had studied in graphic design, so I knew kind of Photoshop and website programming, not how to pattern make a bag. So
wow. And where did you get the leather from, actually, in those early days?
So there was a tannery that was just down the road from us, and they had a big scrap bin, and so you'd go in and pay $5 and you could take away as much as you wanted in a clean sack. So I would go in and kind of take the piss and just bring a black clean sack, fill it up, because the scrap bits were as big as a piece of a piece of bread, kind of. So you couldn't really make much out of those, so you had to really patchwork them or sew them together, or be pretty thrifty with how you made them into something. So that was kind of part of the learning and
that's such a good news story, though. I love that, the evolution from that. So you're doing Superette wholesale, then eventually you decided you wanted to open up a bricks and mortar store.
Yes.
So your first store was in Ponsonby?
Yeah, so we opened up, we had a staff member that just was very adamant that we should open up a store. And so we kind of were like, okay, we'll give it a go. So we opened up a pop-up upstairs above an antique store called Flotsam and Jetsam.
I remember. Yeah.
And so, yeah, we were on the top floor in a little corner kind of site, very hidden, and it opened, and we had kind of queues, and it was just from the get-go, like kind of insane. We didn't have a stock room. We had another room you had to kind of go to. So I remember kind of, I guess, a month in, we used to have a staff member that stayed in that stock room and just kind of poked their hand out with the product that someone would want, and then they'd put it around the corner, and it was all very guerrilla kind of, but fun.
So that would have been in 2014?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the big push? I mean, you said a staff member was very keen for you to open a bricks and mortar store. Obviously, there's a bit more to it than just that. So what actually gave you the nudge to decide to do bricks and mortar?
We had an online store, and that was going really well for us. But it was people weren't able to touch and feel, and the price point, I guess, of our product. They really wanted to be able to, I guess, feel something before purchasing it. It was very much before online shopping. We were kind of one of the first New Zealand brands to have kind of an online digital store. So people weren't really au fait with the idea of like returning it if it didn't work, or that whole kind of process. It was like, once I've purchased it, it's mine. So it was about kind of giving that experience of being able to touch and feel, and I guess it felt like the next stage of the business.
In those early days when you were, putting together bags of leather patches and making products, and wholesaling through Super Ed, the range was limited to bags and jewellery.
Yes.
So what is the range now?
So the range is women's and men's bags. Then we've got travel and kind of business bags, and then probably about 18 months ago we launched footwear as well. So we now have a range of kind of boots, sandals, and that's probably been the biggest new product category growth with the business.
So you've got stores in Auckland, Wellington, and Queenstown. How do the customers differ in each site? And in particular, looking at Newmarket, of course, because this is our home. How do the customers stack up in the different stores?
They have different buying habits. So Queenstown's a very kind of touristy, like international kind of destination. So it's a lot of education piece, but once they've been educated on the brand, they'll generally buy one or two kind of items. And in Newmarket, it is it's very much a shopping destination, so people will go window shopping, so there might be a lot more people through. Who
would be, if you were to describe a typical Deadly Pony customer, who is that person?
I guess because we have a product that is not sized, so it can fit anyone. It can kind of go anywhere. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. Our demographic is really wide, which has been fantastic as well for us. But I think it's someone, and I think for some people it's a real jump and a push, the price point of our product. And then for some people it's the opposite. They might be buying hard luxury internationally, and then kind of, so therefore it seems really affordable for them. So I think it's just our biggest kind of demographic, I guess, would be kind of late 20s to late 30s, and someone that's kind of interested in kind of creativity and craft, and is interested in kind of more of the story behind products. So is buying something with more intent rather than just willy-nilly.
So would you have some customers who just buy anything you release, they're there and they're buying it?
Yep. Yes.
Raven fans love those.
Yeah. So they kind of see it as almost like a collectible piece that they want to purchase. So there's usually, we kind of have these kind of capsules that talk to the whole theme of the collection, and so those will be the pieces that are those kind of customers will purchase.
And what is your favourite Deadly Ponies piece that you have and use on a daily basis?
I have our leather backpack that I kind of has gone all around the world with me, and I take kind of everywhere. So that we no longer make as well. So everyone's always like, where can I get that? And I'm like, you can't get it. But yeah, that would probably be my favourite.
Brilliant. Well, that's almost it for this month. There are a couple of new and notable things happening. The revival of Broadway continues with the very soon opening of Victoria Coffee, who are opening a showroom and a coffee college just down opposite Westfield 309. We see the return of Disrupt Vintage for recycled clothing. Our shoe spas going well on Broadway, along with the opening of Ox Energy. See you next month. Cheers.